So Unit H is going to cover creating tables, clip art, and then some other added things like footnotes, citations, and headers and footers, along with border and shading. It's just special elements that you can add as the chapter is titled. So if you would turn to the first page with me about creating tables. Quick vocab word, a table is a row of grid, or excuse me, a grid of rows and columns. Which way do rows go up and down? Show me with your hands. All of you, which way do rows go? Rows go this way, horizontally. Which way do columns go? Up and down, yes. Think about the L in columns as tall if you get those confused. So, there are three ways you can make a table. If you want to take a look, very first one is on the toolbar. I find this to be the easiest way to make a table. You can click and then select how many rows and how many columns you want this table to be. Once you click on that, it automatically creates that table with that many rows and columns. If you need to add additional rows, you can select a row, you can right-click, you can use your toolbox, and it walks you through all of those. If you're in the bottom right corner cell, though, and you want to add another row, you just hit Tab, and it automatically creates another row. So to show you that again, this is the bottom, bottom cell. I push Tab and it makes another row. Other ways to do that quickly, to right click and you can, got to be in a cell. I can right click and I can, I got to select a whole row I guess. And then I can insert a row or I can delete a row. Same with this one. I can insert or delete a row if I have a whole row selected. Same with columns, but I'm just showing you with rows. If you use the right click though, it only inserts above. In your toolbox, if I'm in my table, notice table becomes an option then in your toolbox. And you'll see there is a green. Green is good, green means go. Insert columns or insert rows. So you can choose, do you want to insert columns to the left or the right, or rows above or below where you are at? And for those, you don't need to have the whole cell selected. You can just have your cursor in one cell. To delete, obviously you can choose one of these options here. Delete the table, the columns, the rows. Sorry, I scrolled too far. Delete the table, the columns, the rows, the cells as needed. Another cool feature, again, to select a row, just go out to the outside left corner. And you guys did this with the move when you did Unit F, so it's not like a new concept. But to select an entire column, get that fat arrow at the top, and then you can select the entire column. If you want to select adjacent columns, just drag over and select. But if you want to select ones that aren't adjacent, what key do I need to push to select them? If I want to select this one and this first column. Command, yeah. And that's where I can select multiple columns, but not adjacent. So what this is going to have you do is this is going to have you create a table, a quick table. So this is probably, in my mind, the realistic way you're going to make most tables. But there is a quick table that you can create. By the way, if you see this four-way arrow up in the upper left corner, that will select the entire table, not everything else. I'm just going to delete that to show you. Quick tables can come up in two different ways. One, you can go to table and you can go into insert and then insert a quick table, or in your elements gallery there is an area that says quick tables, and so then you can pick one of those, and they have predefined formatting attributes. That is the only difference between this table and another one. So even if you add extra rows or columns or whatever else, they will still maintain those. So for instance, if I choose this green one and then I go down and I add another row, it's going to maintain. See how it's continuing to maintain the light row, the dark row, and so on. So it's going to maintain those formatting attributes. And so again, to access that, you're going to go to your elements gallery and then select the quick table that you want. Notice there are basic ones and then there are complex tables. Those look more like a what? What are these? Yeah, calendars. That's all they are. And there are some that are more for Excel sorts of things, but we're not going to talk about those. We're just going to do the basic tables because the Excel stuff we'll actually do in Excel. That only makes sense. Let's turn the page Next one talks about inserting and deleting rows and columns. Does anybody need a refresher on that from what I just said? Okay, you can format your table various ways. Now, like I said, when you choose a when you choose a quick table, there are predefined formatting attributes already there, but you could also go reformat that as needed. So let's say I want to reformat this column. So I'm going to select that column. I have a couple of options. Probably, again, the easiest one is to use your toolbox. And then you see borders and shading in your toolbox. You can change the type of border that you choose. You could change the line style. Let's say I think that light green is hideous for the line color and I want to make it not Christmassy, so let's go purple. So I want to make it purple. Now it just made those all purple. Let's say though I don't want to make the fill color clear or no fill color. Let's make those green, dark green, and so it just filled all of those in. Now something you need to think about when you are doing borders and shading is make sure your text can still be read. So if I put in this dark green, what would I need to do with the text? Yeah, make it a lighter color so it is visible or so it's easy for your reader. Because ultimately that's who you're creating any document for, is your end user, not you yourself. If you create documents for yourself, that's even weirder than like taking a bunch of selfies and posting them all over. When you are adjusting items in a table, notice I can get an arrow that goes like that when I'm on the lines, any line for the rows, and I can adjust that up or down, make it bigger or littler. I can also do the same thing with the columns, and I can be anywhere in that column and drag that. A cool thing you can do, let's go ahead and type in writer's name since he's right here by me. If I double click on this, it auto-fits to the contents of whatever is contained in that column, whatever the widest thing is. Who has a name longer than Writer? Katrina. I'm going to put Katrina M. Now notice, because we had originally auto-fit it for Writer's name, Katrina's then wraps down to the next one. If I double-click again, it resizes again to the widest thing in that column. Questions about tables at all? One other place that you can get and I guess adjust things is in the table menu and go to table properties. And here's where you can see the stuff about alignment with your table. Your rows, you can decide how big or little you want them. Same with columns and same with cells. That tells you just about them if you want the specifics. If you want to do some formatting things, the auto format right here has some pre-done ones. So again, depending on what one you pick, whether it's columns 5 or list 7, those are predefined again for you. Yes. So I can go ahead and choose from the table menu, the auto format, and have some other items. There's also, though, over in your toolbox, an area with styles again, and you're going to deal with styles in Unit G. But there's an area with styles again where you can access what it's going to look like, and that's something you will be working with there. When you are finding colors with borders and shading or whatever, please notice that if you hover over the top of these, it tells you what they are. Like if this blue color is actually text 2 lighter 40%, or this one down here is text 1 lighter 85. So when it tells you you need accent whatever, just make sure you choose the right ones. And again, your screen tips will help you with that. Let's turn and talk about clip art. Clip art, I think, is kind of no-brainer to put in. So I'm not going to go over how to put in clip art, but online clip art has totally changed from what the book says. So if I want to insert clip art, I'm going to go to Insert, Picture, and then Clip Art. And what that brings up is your clip gallery. Now there's some stock clip art that's in here that's okay, but it's just okay. It's not like anything fancy. But you can find a whole plethora of things online. Now, a couple caveats to remember when you are finding things online, and I'm talking for like things outside of this class. When you are finding things online and you have to print it, dragging off the internet is not your best bet. because then that file will not always be found. And if you don't believe me, you ask anybody that's working in real world right now that has to print a bazillion pages, because not everything prints correctly. It's important that you put that file right on the actual Word document. If you can import it into the clip gallery, that's even better, but if it doesn't work to import it into the clip gallery, then insert it as a picture, because then it's actually there. Dragging it over does not always work when you are printing. Just to view it, most of the time it's okay, unless you're going to email that document to somebody else. Okay, so you can see there's limited clip art here. I mean, there's probably 150 or 200 images. It's not horrible by any means. But let's say I want to find a picture of, what's an event you guys have coming up in your lives? Farming, okay. Because I'm pretty sure Husker Harvest Days is not going to come up as a copyright-free image. So I can search farming, and there's like this weird man with some wheat or something. Kind of looks like a Van Gogh painting. Isn't that Van Gogh with those circles? Okay, so I can't find anything, so then you're going to click online. And it's going to ask you to launch your internet browser, and I leave that up just because it's there. You can uncheck that. And by default, because Microsoft is a Bing product and Bing is a Microsoft product, that is where it takes you. Now, one thing you need to be aware of is that it takes you to the internet. Not everything on the internet is available to use. If you watched, was it Stephanie's podcast about Google Images? It's very easy just to go search an image. I can just drag it off, be right free or not. But let's say I wanted something about Husker Harvest Days, and I'll just show you. And I'm searching in images. So wow, there's like a ton of crap out there. People took pictures, all sorts of stuff. One thing you need to look at, though, is the licensing on that. Do I want all or public domain? I want the stuff that is free to modify, share, and use. Now, if you're going to make something that you're going to try to sell or make money off of, then you need to make sure it's free to share and use commercially. So it looks like there is, ew, what is that? Is that like mold growing out of something? Yeah, so I'm not going to search Husker Harvest Days. I'm just going to go back to farming with my search there. And change it to free to modify, share, and use. Because most of the time you're going to be changing your document. Does this look like the farming you do? Kind of looks like, oh yeah, I was going to say in India. That's funny, it even says India. So let's say this is what Michael does out in his fields in Sierra Leone. So I find this picture.
Oh, like the buffalo up top.
Oh yeah. So you need to click to get to the picture. How do I know when I get to the picture? Usually it's going to end in a JPG, JEPG, so a JPEG of some sort. It might be a TIFF, it might be a GIF. But you need to get to this picture itself. Then right-click and save this image. And in Firefox, it doesn't say save image as, it's like save this image or save it's worded a little differently, but it's all about saving. And I would just stick it on your desktop. It's an easy place to go to. And then do not just drag it over. Go back to your clip gallery and import it in. You wait patiently while the import opens. If you move it into your clip gallery, it doesn't clutter up your desktop. It is just gone from your desktop. It moves it right in. And this is what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go find that item on my desktop. Sierra Leone Farming, also known as Michael's Rice Farm. And move into clip galleries at the bottom left. And I tell it to import. And it should bring up another dialog box where I can rename this if I want to. I can add other descriptions if I want to, just put a comma between them. I'm going to call this one also Michael, and I'll call it farm. So I have that picture. Now, for whatever reason, it sticks it into favorites. This would never be a favorite, probably, of yours, but if you need to know where to find those, it's under your favorites. Then you click insert, and there is that picture. Now, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to stop recording her here.